Right, here we go again. Another week on the run. Just quickly mentioned last week. Obviously, it was a non-vlog week, but I did actually do okay. I worked 4.5 days in total because I've kind of finished sort of pretty close to home at 11 o'clock on a Friday and had stuff to do, so I just knocked it on the head, called it a half day. After costs and stuff, my profit, which is kind of like my wage, was just over 150 quid for the 4.5 days. So that was pretty good. And a week before, which I obviously vlogged and did, was 130 quid a day sort of profit or earnings for after costs, but pre-tax. So things are kind of picking up in terms of my earnings per day, which is what I need to. It really needs to do, obviously, because it was June. But yeah, so things are picking up. Yeah, so this is week commencing 20th of June. A few other things to mention this week. I'm sure everyone's going to be aware anyway, is strikes on the railways. I'm not sure how that's going to affect how busy the CX and stuff is. It might affect how busy the roads are and traffic and stuff. We'll have to see how we go on that. Tomorrow, Tuesday, 21st, is the first day of action. And something else I thought I'd just mention is, I think part of the reason it was really good last summer was because obviously lots of people after COVID wanted to go on holiday, but they weren't. A lot of people weren't going abroad because there were still lots of restrictions on travel and things you had to do to go abroad, fly abroad. So I thought this year, like the British, domestic holiday market would be a lot quieter, but they're obviously having a nightmare at the airports, aren't they? Because they can't get the staff, because they basically binned them off, and then they thought they'd just get them back straight away when they wanted to, and then they just can't fill the roles now. So lots of people, or lots of airlines are actually cancelling flights, so maybe that will mean like more people stay in the UK, and that means more goods are required in the UK, which could be good for people like myself or any transport company in the UK in terms of demand. So that hopefully might pick up a bit of demand. So anyway, just a few little things I thought I'd mention before I get going. So fuel card prices. So this is just ridiculous. I said 2 weeks ago when I did the vlog that it was like ridiculous because it just keeps going up and up and up. So last time I did a vlog, so week commencing 6th of June, my best price was 147.5 plus VAT. Last week it jumped 10 pence to 157.28. That's my best price of the two. And then this week my best price, which is the BOWC or block again, is 162.20 plus VAT, which comes out at 194.64 pence a litre, including VAT. So like I say, that's the cheaper one. The UK fuels card I've got, which is a Shell card for UK fuels this week, is 166.60, so I've not used that for the last 3 weeks. Yeah, whereas before that they had a run of being the cheapest, but they've been quite far out the last 3 weeks. So it's just ridiculous, going up and up and up. So I actually worked out now, basically it's cost, this time 12 months ago it was costing me 15 pence a mile in diesel. It's including the VAT, and now it's costing me 25, so it's an extra 10 pence per mile actual fuel costs. So whereas my per mile pence costs were about 30 pence a mile last year, now I'm working off 40 pence a mile. So when I've said my earnings the last few weeks have been reasonable, that's taken into account the increased costs. You've got to keep on top of the costs and kind of have a good idea of what it costs you to run, what sort of profit margin you're making. It's all pretty simple. I've done a few videos. If you look in my playlist, there's one in there about the money matters, I think they called it, about you just working out some of these rough values. So anyway, that's sort of like intro. So today I actually started late. No surprise there, it would be a Monday, me starting at home. Didn't start looking for a job till 10:45, but I was kind of doing work stuff. I had to go to Tool Station I didn't have to go, but I thought I'd go and get it done. Get another strap, because one of my old straps is kind of cut, or like cut further along the way, so I thought I'd better replace that. Some other bits and bobs to get as well, and then I had to phone the garage to book the van in for its next service, which is a 75,000 mile service. I'm on about 73 now, so I booked it for 2 weeks today. So that'll be a 4-day week, 2 weeks today. And there's a few other issues I want them to check out while it's in there. So yeah, so I started looking for a job 11:15, got a job by 11:15. The feed was, reasonably busy, but not mad busy. But I think people are obviously quoting more now because of the fuel price. So it seems to be getting jobs a lot quicker than I used to. And yeah, what was it? It was the other side of Birmingham, which was a pain, but I went and picked it up, and it was going down to Essex, Basildon. And this is one where they ring me up, and it didn't say in a job what it was. It just said long wheelbase. So I says, what is it, and do you know what's the weight? He says, well, I'm not sure. I think it'll be about 850 kilograms. And I said, is it pallets? And he goes, yeah, I think so. What it is, it's printed brochures or something. And as soon as he said that, I thought, well, there's a good chance I'm going to have to be careful with this load, because anything to do with paper, metals, anything like that. It's amazing how much paper can weigh when it's boxed, so leaflets, anything from the printers basically. So I got there to get loaded, asked him what does it weigh. He says, well, I don't know, I'll have to ask the guy in the office. The thing is a bit sus with that. He came back and he said to me, oh, it weighs 1,100 kilograms, which is bang on what I can take pretty much. It's like, that's what I tell shippers I can carry. And I'll put in my profile now, like 1,100 kilograms max. The shipper, when I was talking to him, he says, out of interest, what can you carry? I told him 1,100 kilograms. And then the guy went away and he came back and he said bang on that value. So either it's a coincidence or I'm not sure. It looked like it could have potentially been a bit heavier, but it drove fine. Like 2.5 or 2.25 euro pallets of stuff. Got down here, got it tipped, got there just after 3 o'clock. Forklift guy goes home at 3 o'clock. So he says, can I come back tomorrow? I says, not really, because this is a dedicated direct delivery, same day. I got to take it back and bring it back. It's going to be, whatever was paid for this, it's going to be double that on top. And he's right, okay, we'll have to handball it off. So me with 2 other guys got it off in like 10 minutes anyway. Break the pallets down. So that was that. Parked up, Sainsbury's around the corner. Got a job really quickly from pretty close. Well, I think I was further east into Essex. Yeah, like half-hour drive in east. Can't remember exactly where it was. Picking up something and going to, obviously, it was obviously going air freight out of Heathrow, so Heathrow area. 2 postcodes, TW6. So I thought, right, let's go to the first one, presumably, get paperwork, and then go and drop it off at an air freight terminal. And it said must have 2 forms of ID. I cocked up on this one. I've been a bit slack. So I got the job, and he asked me, I definitely got 2 forms of ID. I says, yeah, I got company ID and I got my driver's license photo card. And then at the time I was in Sainsbury's buying a few bits and bobs, some water and stuff. Ran out of water in a van to drink. And I got back to the van. I thought I'd better check my ID. So I don't know when I so I got it made myself, designed it online, and then they print it and send it. I think it was like 20 quid. I thought, I wonder what the expiry date I put on it was, and it was 2 years from when I started, so it ran out in 27th of February this year, so it's been out of date for a good few months now. But I very rarely used it. I've probably used it about half a dozen times now. So I thought, crap, what am I going to do? Well, I'll just ring the shipper and I just apologise. I was very, very sorry. I didn't realise my expiry date had actually lapsed on my company ID. And he said, oh, it doesn't really matter. The guy on the phone even asked his supervisor, got back to me, he goes, yeah, it won't be an issue as long as it's got your photo on it and your name on it and the name of the company, it'll be alright. And it was. So the job went ahead. Had a bit of a faff this end. It was go to this company's office and then I'd find out which airline it was going with. So they knew it would be like just south of Heathrow, like the freight side, but didn't know exactly where it was, and it was going out of Virgin Atlantic, company called Dnata, D-N-A-T-A, do it, but they've got loads of depots, and it took me ages to find the right depot, and eventually got it off. Once I found the right place and got in there, they tipped me within 20 minutes, and it's quite a big place, so that's not too bad really. I could have really hit them up because it took me ages to find it because the address was wrong basically that they gave me at the first place I collected the paperwork from. What was kind of wrong and partial address, so I could have really hit them up for a bit of extra money, but I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest. And I thought if I do, it's only be a tenner and it's not worth the hassle. So I've stayed the night in Stanwell. Stayed here several times now, right next to a church in Stanwell. Went and got Chinese from my usual place. There's a chippy there as well, convenience store. Yeah, so that's it for today. So not a bad day really, because I started too late. I've done £253, so VAT is on top of that. I've done 253 miles as well, so £1 a mile all miles today. Having started so late, that's not so bad. So normally recently I've been struggling out of West London area sort of to get a job paying decent money out of the area, but I've not been down here in quite some time, so I'm hoping, because it's picked up now and prices seem to have gone up, I can get a job tomorrow early doors for decent rate. So that's what I'm hoping. Right, Tuesday night now, so yeah, 2 jobs today. Been a decent day in terms of earnings. Very much a tale of 2 very different jobs. So first job was really straightforward, and then the second job was an absolute one of them jobs really, bit of a nightmare, which I'll come on to. A bit of issues at the drop, which I'll come on to, yeah. But actually a bit slack this morning. I actually slept in a van. I knocked the alarm off and I woke back up, and it was a bit later and I wanted to get up, and I went down to the local Tesco, got my meal deal, so I'm set for the day for food, or until the evening at least. And then got a job, so about 8:30 I started looking, which is pretty late really when I'm out on the run, waking up in the van. I got a job at 9:20, so I wasn't bidding on jobs around London. I was trying to get out of the area. What's going on with the light on this camera? So yeah, I was bidding on jobs to get out of London, ideally to go up north. I had bids on quite a few jobs, and then one pinged through without a phone call, which is obviously naughty to the shipper. I haven't done both the jobs today. They came through, no phone call. And I thought, I knew what job I wanted it to be, but it wasn't that job. Which was a job up to like Yorkshire somewhere. I've clicked on a few jobs up north actually, but it was a job that I bid on, small van job. I was 4 miles from it. It was 74 miles going to obviously that part of London, so 4 miles from it. Going to Swindon, quoted 85 quid, which is over £1 a mile. Small van job, 3 boxes, packages. Went and picked it up, really straightforward. 3 packages in a van, straight over there. No paperwork, so I had to do my packet pads pod. Got that done, tipped to some business unit, straight away, 5-minute tip as well. So 5 minutes each end, 2 hours and 10 minutes, so that's about £40 an hour on the job from getting it to finishing it and doing the invoice and uploading it, which is pretty good. And it was about 108 point something pence per mile, all miles. So that's not too bad. Got me out of the southeast at least. Tipped finished at 11:30. It took me a little while actually, to get my next job. Well, it's felt like a while just because lately early on in the year, it was like 4 or 5 hour waits quite often. But the last few weeks, it's been, nothing like that. I get a job within the hour quite easily normally. Took me an hour and 40 minutes to get another job, so it was just after 1. And yeah, again, it wasn't really a job I was really dead keen on doing, but it's kind of getting then towards mid-afternoon. I think, well, I need to get moving now. I bid on a job, 2 pickups in long wheelbase, 2 pickups in Swindon. Like the first one was like 2 miles from me. And then delivering to Riley, I don't know how it's pronounced, in Essex. So back to Essex, went and picked up. It turned out to be stuff that was going to a shop fitters. I looked at the job initially and I priced it and I thought like it was 130 quid, but then I noticed it was delivered until 6:30, a set time. And the reason why that was, it was, shop fitting materials. So I had a set time of 6:30 to meet them on site. Bit of a faff getting loaded. For 2 pallets from the first one, the second one was 1.83, or was it 1.82 meters tall. My van can just about take through the back doors 1.8 meters bang on, and there's about 10-15 millimeters clearance to the roof, to the top of the door frame. So this was like just too big, but it was 2 layers of just like wooden units, horrible laminated chipboard. So what we had to do was take the top layer off, put the pallet on, because the van is taller inside than the actual door frame. The door frame comes down a bit. Then put them back on top, put removal blankets in between the 2 layers, and then on top, and then my edge protectors, my cardboard edge protectors over the edge as well. Then strap it down, diagonal strap down, to hold that. And then I also put one going side to side over the van, not massively tight because it's only like chipboard stuff, there's no strength to it whatsoever, so just enough to keep it in place without damaging it, protect the edges. This stuff is like proper delicate, really. I hate it. It's horrible stuff. So got them loaded, then went to the second one, and that was some leather stools. I can't remember, there was like 12 of them or something, and they were on a pallet, but instead of putting them on the pallet, which would have meant unstrapping and thing, we just handballed them on, because it was going to a shop fitters and they never want to take pallets anyway. But I kind of realised it's all going to be handballed off. I'm going to have that conversation. You're keeping the pallets. All packaging goes with the goods. And then, so that was the first ball ache, really. So between the 2 collections, from getting to the first collection to actually getting loaded and leaving the second collection, it was an hour and a half. But I'd obviously priced this job in, because I did think 130, but then I just banged the 25 quid on top. So 155, which made it really good pence per mile, but it's kind of to pay for the dead time. As it turns out, I didn't have any dead time, because I drove slowly over there, like 60 mile an hour on the motorway, just thinking, I might as well take it a bit slow and get better miles per gallon. Stopped at the services, got ice cream, say like 15 minutes, and then there was nearly an hour's delay on the M25. And then I'm going to talk at the end a bit about variable speed limits on these smart motorways. They really wound me up today. They have done of late. I'll mention that at the end. Come back to that. And obviously with the delays, I got there like 6:20 anyway. So it being a high street drop, at the services, I had looked on Google Maps where the shop exactly is. I could see around the back was a proper delivery bay with parking for, staff for the unit, for the shop and that. So I thought, right, I'll go to the back, go to the goods entrance. Got there, 10 minutes early. There was a doorbell, pressed the doorbell, no one came. Thought, strange. Hope this isn't going to be able to get lumbered with this job. So I had to walk around to the front of the shop, bit of a trek. and there's some shop fitters just right at the front of the store doing stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm parked at the back, like by the back door, can you open the back door? And he's like, oh, it'll be easier for you really to load it out the front. I was thinking, no, it won't be easy for me, it might be what he wants, but it was kind of, the road was quite set back from the shop front, quite a big pavement, bollards, and I was thinking, and there was two bays that were parked vans there. One was the shop fitters and one was somebody else. He says he doesn't know who. And there was two disabled bays. So he goes, oh yeah, you should be able to get on the curb, mate. Which was true. I probably could have just squeezed between these bollards, coming in through where the disabled sort of space is on the road. But I wasn't that keen on it. And he said to me, oh, there won't be any parking attendants this time of night. So it's probably true. But, it's not, can you do that? It's like, oh, just do that, you'll be okay. And you know what town centres are like these days with cameras and stuff? You can still get done, can't you, if somebody spots it on the camera? But I was a bit reluctant, but I thought, like, whatever. Went around the back, got the van to come around the front. By the time I got around the front, somebody parked in this disabled bay, so I couldn't get on the pavement anyway. So I parked opposite side of the road. Colleague comes over, not the guy I was talking to, his mate, and I says, well, can't get on the pavement now. Can you not just tip it out the back door? The goods entrance, be a lot simpler and easy access. And then he was like, all right, gonna have to do that. So I drove back round to the back, met him there, and then his mate, who was, the grumpy one, was like, oh, can't you deliver it around the front now? And I'm like, well, no, can't go on the pavement, and just need to get it off. So he's in a bit of a grumpy mood, and well, he just got the impression he was one of these, a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Obviously, a site boss foreman or whatever. But I said I would put it on the curb, but can't do now, and I was taking a risk doing that anyway. So yeah, he was on a bit of a whinge because he had to carry it slightly further through the stock room to get it to the actual shop. But anyway, got it unloaded, and he said to me, a bit narky comments like, "Oh, if you do the next one in Amersham or whatever, just make sure you bring a bigger van." I'm like, "Well, I'm in this van. Speak to your customer. Speak to whoever you get this off, whoever you book your transport with. It's not down to me, I'm just a driver." And he'd said to me before, when I was at the front of a stop, when he said it was on pallets, he goes, "All right, there's somebody here to take stuff away, but you're gonna have to be quick to get it off and stuff." And I was like, well, thinking, I didn't say to him, I was thinking, well, it's all coming off and it's your issue. Whether it comes off quickly or not. I didn't say that to him, that's what I was sort of thinking. And later on, when we, taking the crap out of the thing, he's like, "Oh no, you'll have to keep that, mate." And I just said to him, "No, I'm not keeping it." So it all comes off. It's a one-way journey, and I need to go to my next collection empty, which is absolute truth. The pallets were actually CHEP pallets, the blue ones, and a lot of pallet places won't actually take them because they can't sell them. They actually stay property of CHEP, or whatever it's pronounced, CHEP. Yeah, and he was just a bit arsey, and there's just no need for it really. I handballed it off with him. A lot of drivers I know won't bother with that. They'll just like unstrap the load and say, right, help yourselves. But basically, I think he was just trying to make his life easy. Just bump it on the curb, mate. Risk getting a ticket just to make it slightly easier for me. And then, the rubbish is at the back of the store now. So yeah, you take the rubbish because it's easier for me, so I don't have to, take it through the shop to the front of the shop or whatever. He just should have done it from the back, really. Done it all from the back. I think the guy was just lazy, to be honest. But his mate was pretty sound, and he could tell, we weren't getting on. And I think he was just dreading it was going to kick off, but it didn't really. But there was a bit of an atmosphere, I'd say, but just no need for it. And when people talk to me, I've just got no, I don't get nasty or whatever. I just tell them how it is, really. Tell them how it's going to happen kind of thing. I'm not taking the rubbish. All packaging and, and rubbish packaging stays with you. That's the job. It's your issue, sort of thing. And I'll always try and be accommodating as possible, but yeah, not when it's kind of risking getting tickets and stuff like that, which I kind of agreed to do, but I shouldn't have done. That's my only regrets. So yeah, got out of there. I've actually got a job booked in for the morning when I stopped in the services on the way over here. There was a job on there from Basildon, 142 miles, long wheelbase. One of these jobs, it was long wheelbase, but it says the load dimensions and weight, and it's one pallet at 200 kilograms. I think it might even be a Euro pallet as well. So it's a small van job, really. Not tall, not heavy, one pallet, but they put on as a long wheelbase. So I quoted 138, which is a shade under £1 a mile loaded, but I thought it'd be quite close to it. I just took a bit of a punt, and it was only 8 miles from that drop to the collection tomorrow morning. And the shipper just put in, I think when they posted the load, they just banged in Birmingham. So it was showing Birmingham and CAS and all that lot. I don't quite add anything extra for the CAS because this is Euro 6. So I thought we'd be going to centre Birmingham, but they've actually changed the job, put the actual address in, which is Minworth B46. Like where the M42 joins the M6, that region, which is actually shorter. So it's bumped the mile, pence per mile for that job, all miles to 95 pence a mile. So that's a bit of a bonus, but I can't pick it up till 9 tomorrow, and it's got a 1 o'clock booking slot at an RDC. But yeah, what did I quote it? Yeah, 138. It works out all right anyway. 9 till 1 is 4 hours. So 138 divided by, say, 5 is still, getting towards £30 an hour. So that'll do me. Anyway, that's a long one for today. Shame to have a tip like that, but you get them every now and then. Not had one for a while. Or just people you deal with who would just generally get out of order. Anyway, so that's Tuesday. Right, it's actually Thursday afternoon now, so I didn't film last night. Not entirely sure why, just totally forgot. So yeah, I did that job up from Essex, pretty straightforward, 1 pallet. Got in there slightly before 1, got it tipped. Well, it was a slightly wrong address, but easily sorted. And then from there, I was obviously in sort of Birmingham area, so really close to home on a Wednesday, sort of lunchtime-ish. So I thought, it's been hot this week, so I kind of really need the shower. Baby wipes only go so far when it's this hot. So I thought I'll either stay local and try and do a few local jobs, like min charge jobs, but for short jobs, so really good pounds per mile. Or it'll have to be like a good long job, like 150 quid plus. And I've been on a few local jobs, didn't get them. Feed is reasonably busy, but quite sporadic. It'll be like quiet, and then like loads of jobs come through at once. And then a job pinged up from a shipper I know. I've done about half a dozen jobs for them. It's always been from this same collection, and it's always shop fitting stuff. So I knew exactly what the collection was, and then it said on the thing, deliver it 8:30 into Leeds, LS1, 130 miles loaded. I was 22 miles from it, so that's 152 miles on the job. I went in at 165, and I thought I'd have a good chance to get it because I've done a few for these now, and you can't afford for these kind of jobs for people that mess them about, co-loaders and stuff like that. They just pay a better rate on these jobs because there's a bit of waiting around between collection and drop-in, and you've got to be there on time. You can't, there's people waiting for materials to work overnight. Yeah, I went and picked up, pretty straightforward, because I had so much time to kill. Actually went a shorter route, shaved 11 miles off up the A38 instead of going at the M42, A42. It took longer, but time to kill anyway, so might as well. Just 60, 62 all the way, save a bit of fuel. And I had time to stop at services for a shower, so I got my shower in. tipping in the end was pretty straightforward, but I thought it was going to turn into a nightmare one like the day before. To get to the place was a right pain. There was a bus lane out the front of it. There was a TK Maxx store, and Google Maps was just trying to send me down the bloody... I've noticed this before with Google Maps. It tries to send you down bus lanes and stuff, you know, where cars can't go. Or I know I'm in a van, but that's time for cars. You can't just go down. There's a bus lane between 7 AM and 10 PM. So I found a way to get to the back road, the rear road, and there's like goods in entrance, parallel street behind it. Eventually, well, I got there still got there like 20 past 8. And then there was some workmen there waiting, but they were the painters, not the people who were waiting for the goods. This was obviously woodwork. It was going to the chippies, or it's obviously a slang word for joiners. And the painter said to me, oh, they might want them around the front looking at the length of them because they probably won't get them up the lift. And I said to him, well, I can't go around the front because it's a bus lane, and if I go through, it's just cameras and get a ticket. You just can't do it. So I rang the guy anyway because I had a contact number who was the joiner of a chippy. And he pretty much said the same thing. Said he'll be there about 9ish. Apologised for being late and stuff. But I said to him, can't go around the front, mate. It's just not going to happen because it's a bus lane. Tried saying on the phone, oh, you know, we've had deliveries out the front before, it's all fine. You know, they might not get done by a traffic warden or anything, but that doesn't mean it's fine, is it? It's because it's all cameras. And once they've gone, if we get a ticket, they're not going to ever find out. So again, it's just fitters trying to, you know, make it easy for them, regardless of where you get a ticket. But the painters were actually really sound guys. They were from the Black Country, very close to where I live. Actually, where I used to do Yodel was their area where they were from, King's Standing. Well, it's more Birmingham than Black Country, but anyway, West Mids. Yeah, and those 3 of the painters, and they were waiting to get in anyway. So I said, yeah, lads, we'll, you know, one of them just says, just give them a hand, we'll just get them off. So I actually got them off before the chippies turned up, and they signed for it, and I left just as the chippies, the joiners, turned up. So that was that. It's not a bad day. Well, it's over 300 quid day, really good pence per mile, as well over £1 a mile. That put me in Leeds, so I had to drive out the centre of Leeds to Morrison's, where I've tramped there. This morning I got a job reasonably quick, just after 9ish, I think. Was it? No, before 9 I got it, actually. Maybe 20 to 9. It was one of these jobs when it actually got it, and it came through again without getting a phone call. I've noticed that a lot in the last few weeks. So I think as it's picking up, you know, the call centres and the people managing these jobs, they've probably got less time, or maybe even they got rid of a few of their staff because it was so quiet for them as well. And that was picking up. Maybe they're struggling because it seems to be getting a lot of jobs just sent through and no phone call. It came through, I was kind of like, why did I go for this one, that kind of thing. But once it's come through, that's it. I knew the shipper, I knew the collection, I knew it was going to be car parts, Volvo dealerships, picking up in Normanton, done it once before. And it was a drop in Huddersfield, drop in Bolton, and a drop in Chester. Good thing about these modern dealerships, car dealerships, they tend to be now sort of built close, out of town, not in the middle of town, so they're easier to get to, I think, when they would have been at one time. Yeah, and got them done. There was a bit of a wait at the collection. It was like 9:15. I got there for 10 minutes early and didn't get out there till 10 because they weren't ready. Got them tipped. That put me in Chester, and I've decided by the end of today that I want to go home. Just going to have a 4-day week this week because I do need to change the brake pads on this van now. Last time it was serviced, 50,000 mile service, they said they need replacing, and they wanted something astronomical price to change them because the dealers. So I thought I thought I'd do them myself. I'm looking to do them myself with the genuine pads, so I bought the genuine pads straight after that, and then when I took the wheels off to check, they still had loads of meat left on them. And yesterday the light finally came on at 74,000 miles. Don't know if that's front or rear, but I'm they pretty much both need doing now. I'm just going to do them tomorrow, and the money I save by doing that will be more than I could earn in a typical day. So I might as well just take the day off, do the pads. It won't take me all day. Gives me time to do other stuff at home. So I've got to do a VAT return, still needs doing before the 7th of July. I've got to get my books up to date. I've been a bit slack lately. I always keep track of money coming in, who's paid and who hasn't, when they should have done, and chase that. But the general bookkeeping, I do sometimes get a bit behind, and I'm a bit behind now, so I'll get that done tomorrow. There's a few other bits and bobs as well. Yeah, so that's the week on a run. Well, that put me out, say, in Chester, but so then I decided I want to get home today, so I worked out even if I drive home empty, it's not the end of the world. Still a pretty decent 4 days, but looking for a job to get back home. Job pinged up from Runcorn to I think this is them now. I'll explain this later. Right, hello and welcome to my version of Shedbury. My shed at the bottom of the garden. So yeah, that last job on the Friday, job pinged up Runcorn, said Runcorn to Stafford, ST19, but it said 171 miles, small van job, and well, that doesn't sound right, that's never 171 miles, so I clicked on the map view, and for some reason it was showing the delivery point as being somewhere in the north east, like Durham way, so it was totally wrong. So anyway, it meant I didn't know the actual miles on the job, but I thought that's taking me no way home, so I'll quote that. So I just went in at 60 quid. They rang me up and gave me it. I did say it's definitely like Stafford area, is it? And she says, yeah, I don't know what it's done that for. The CX. I've seen that before. I swear I saw a bit more last week than any time. It's quite glitchy of late, the CX. Yeah, and it turned out to be 61 miles, small van job. Went and picked it up. Place I picked up stuff from before, which was like going to private addresses. Last time it was like special nutritional milkshakes. I think it's somebody's been prescribed these stuff. And this time it wasn't these milkshakes, it was like polystyrene boxes, freezer boxes. Obviously had ice cubes inside as well as stuff. It's actually going a bit further south than Stafford, Penkridge, which is closer to home for me, which is good. Turned out all miles on the job from driving to Runcorn from Chester, loading and loaded miles down the M6 to Penkridge was, yeah, basically worked out 85 pence a mile all miles, which isn't bad really. And it got me to within 14 miles of home when I was like 70 miles from home in Chester. So that worked out pretty well, to be honest. The only glitch was to a private address, knocked on the door, no one there. No contact number on the job, so I rang the shipper. Shipper rang me back, gave me the contact number. Rang the customer and says, hello, is that blah blah blah? Their name, can't remember now. And goes on, no, it's the mother of such and such. And she apologised, said she wasn't expecting it to be delivered. She knew it was coming, but she thought it was going to be like later on in the afternoon or early evening. So she said she was 10 minutes away, so I had to wait for her to turn up. And it turned out it was whatever was in the boxes. It was special dietary stuff for her young daughter, like a baby or a toddler sort of age. Obviously, poor thing got some health issue or whatever, which means it needs some kind of fancy food. So that's quite nice, it's a bit different to changing, there's the pallet of makeup, which is one job I did this week to an RDC from a freight warehouse. So yeah, got that, came home. That was the end of the working week. Didn't tell by my voice, I'm only bloody ill again. I seem to be getting ill all the time in the last couple of months. Woke up Saturday with a sore throat. I'm just feeling a bit crap again, so I think it might be sort of tonsillitis or something. I don't know, mild case of tonsillitis maybe. Not had that in years. I've got like sore gums and stuff. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's getting fed up of being sick. Right, little sick boy at the moment. So that was a working week. Just want to say a few things, technical things. So first, eco mode. My van has eco mode on it. And when I got it, it didn't really make any difference to the miles per gallon I was getting. and now it's got like 70,000 miles on it. I must have turned it on by accident, and so like the last good months, let's say like 20,000 miles, maybe 30,000 miles, the best I'll get out of it on the reading of miles per gallon is like high 32s, low 33s. But when I actually work it out, do the calculation, that's actually under reading. When I work it out manually, it's more like between 35 and 36 I typically get, so I work off 35 miles per gallon. So I turned it on this week. I think it's when you go to put your hazards on to thank somebody. I must have pressed the wrong button and turned the eco switch on because it's next to it, which I've totally forgotten about, and left it on, and I noticed the miles per gallon reading on the van was like above 35, and I thought, that's strange, what's going on there? And then I worked out it said eco on the dash, and when I actually worked out it manually after filling up, I got like 39.4 miles per gallon. That's pretty good for a long wheelbase van now with 70,000 miles on it. Obviously well serviced, oil changes done twice as often as the standard. Yes, that's pretty good. Kind of negates a bit the fuel costs, not entirely, but better than out. So that's eco mode. I want to say a bit about brake pad wear. So when I went in for its second service at 50,000 miles, second official service at the dealer, they said they suggested I get changed both front and rear brake pads, and like it was some astronomical price. They don't actually ring me, they send me an email with a link to some system, and it says what they suggest doing and stuff and how much it's going to cost, and then I just tick what I want doing and sort of reply to them that way. So I just said, don't want anything doing, just do its basic service because it's costing a fortune. So what I did is I bought the pads myself online from a Renault dealer, because even though it's a Nissan van, it's a Renault van rebadged as a Nissan. So if you buy it from Nissan, it'll be in Nissan cardboard boxes, but the actual parts are Renault, says Renault on them. So I just went online. There's a Renault dealer that sells brake pads, well, loads of stuff via eBay. Fish Brothers, I think it was, down in Swindon, off the top of my head, the dealership. So I ordered them. I went to change them like shortly after 50,000 mile service, and yeah, we still had loads of meat left on them. So it got to 74,000 miles, which is like 1,000 miles shy of the next due service. And then I started to get a message on saying brake pads wear sensor basically worn through. Didn't know if it was front or rear, so I thought, right, I want to change them now anyway. I was planning to change them before it goes in for its service, which I've 75,000 mile service, which I booked in not tomorrow, Monday, like a week tomorrow. Yeah, so I was going to change them anyway. The lights come on, so I changed them on the Friday, like I said. So yeah, I'll just show you the wear on them. So this is after 74,000 miles. First pad's being changed. So this is for the type of work I use. So if you watch the channel, I do a lot of long distance jobs, a lot of motorway driving, and A roads, B roads a bit. But the motorway stuff, you don't really use your brakes much. Obviously, if you drive like an idiot and you're always up people's back and you just drive up to close to somebody and then jump on the brakes, then you're just going to wear your brakes unnecessarily and waste fuel. Because I pay for fuel and pay for service and everything, I drive very economically in town and on the motorways, so that's why they've lasted so long. Discs are still in good nick. I expect to get 2 lots of pads to each set of discs. That's generally how I expect to get. I think if you look to try and get 3 sets of pads to a disc, you're going to wear them too thin and they can always fail. So I always work 2 sets of pads to 1 disc. So if I've still got the van, which is very unlikely, next time I need replacing, I'll be changing discs and pads all around. But anyway, let's have a look at the pads. So here we go. Here's the front pads, and there's the rear pads. Rear pads are always smaller. If you don't know, because the rear does less braking than the front, just because it's how it is. So this is the front pads. This is 75,000 miles or 74,000 miles. Still looks like there's a fair bit of material on there. I'd say they're about 60% worn over new. and you can see the fronts haven't actually worn down. This is the brake wire, brake warning light, brake pad wire warning light. So once that finally wears through, only got much left. And say, yeah, it's got about a mil maybe of brake wear before it would actually turn the light on the front. So it was actually the rears that weren't worn through first. So you can just about make out there. The thing's worn through there. So they were really close as well. So they've worn quite evenly, front and rear. On a car, you'd normally expect to get like the front pads will need changing a fair bit before the rear. I think with vans, maybe because, you know, especially when I carry more weight on the back when I'm loaded, I put them in the back doors. The brake system compensates. It's got a brake bias valve on the rear, so when the rear suspension's compressed because it's carrying weight in the rear, it'll put more braking effort to the rear load biasing valve. So I just thought a thing. So yeah, 74,000 miles needed doing. Rear's worn through first. One of these was worn slightly more than the rest. That one, which is always a sign of something not right with the caliper. I think what it was where this slides in the caliper was just a bit seized. So I made sure give it a good clean out and copper slip on these edges. With the new pads, that would have been sticking and dragging a bit. So there you go, brake pads. Right, weekly summary time. So worked the 4 days this week. The Friday off from memory. I didn't get home at all. So that's 3 nights in a van. Yeah, I think I can't remember getting home. So Monday, 2 jobs, 155 and 98, which is 253, which is a pretty good day. Started a bit late. Tuesday, 2 jobs, 85 and 155, which is 240. Wednesday, best day of the week, 138 and 165, which is £303. Thursday, 118 and 60 for 178, which is the lowest earnings of the week. But when I'm looking to get home, whatever day it is, it's always harder to do the money. That's why I tramp and why tramping pays off financially. If I was looking to get home every day, you know, I'd earn less basically. So yeah, Friday day off, doing my brake pads and a few other bits, bobs. So total for the 4 days, £974, or that works out £243 a day, which is pretty good. A bit below my 250 target, but then there's only 3 full days on the proper run and 1 day getting home, whereas if I did a full week, it's 4 full days and 1 compromised day trying to get home. 964 miles, all miles from leaving here on a Monday to getting back on a Thursday night, loaded on and unloaded. That's a pence per mile of 101.0, so 101 bang on pence per mile. So it's over £1 a mile, all miles. That's pretty good. No additional charges, no tolls or out like that. So them values are all plus VAT. Being on a flat rate VAT scheme, I get to keep some of the VAT. So once I've added that on top and then take away my fixed costs for 4 days at 20 quid, it's £80. Then minus my per mile costs, which is fuel, vehicle depreciation, servicing, all that jazz, is 40 pence a mile. It comes out a profit for the 4 days of £582. This is, the profit is based on my wage. Got tax and insurance, national insurance come out of that as a sole trader. So it's not my take home. So it's £145 a day. Like again, the pre-deductions of, you know, income tax, as I just said, national insurance. So that's alright. £145 a day on a 4 day week. It's purely the cost of fuel that's killing that really. This time last year that would have been probably 160, 170 quid. So it is hitting me in the pocket, the fuel. even though I managed just over a pound a mile. 1 mile is pretty good, but still hurting my bottom line, if you like. That was a week. As ever, any comments, please put them below. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing this week. I might actually go out in the car just for a change, because if I'm going to be groggy again, don't really want to be tramping in a van this coming week. Barely used the car for a few weeks. I might go out for spinning that, do a bit of parcel work. Yeah, so any comments, put them below for myself or anyone else who watches the video, and please like and subscribe.